Hey there, I'm going to tell you something that you already know, which is that software in general is bound to have bugs. Now, you already know that. Why should I take the pain in making this video and not enjoy this beautiful weather, right? Well, I'm enjoying the beautiful weather, but I also want to do the video and state this obvious. Start the video by stating the obvious because quite often I've realized that we tend to believe that our software could potentially have bugs because we are human, but software that we consume, whether it's cloud solutions or open source or third-party software, uh, we somehow give, maybe even naturally so, right? Because we always try to believe other people are smarter than us, which is a great place to be in life, I think. We believe that that other piece of software is going to be bug-free. Right, you're not exactly thinking it's bug-free, but subconsciously that's, I believe, what the reaction is. And here's what I'm trying to say by virtue of the 30-second ramble, right? Of the recent work we've been doing, getting our API gateway live out there, so you can go to developers.snowplow.com to check everything that we published and released for yourself. It's very cool, even if I'm saying so myself. You can build whatever it is that you want to build with the rich set of endpoints and the first API that we published. So, as part of that, we've had to touch various different a number of other pieces of software, right? In terms of dependencies, be it AWS Marketplace, AWS Services, Rapid, Blobber, OpenAPI Hub, README, Postman, yada yada yada. And I've noticed that almost all of them, without exception, have bugs. That's a given. All of us software, we have a list, we improve, we fix whatever, right? But bugs that I've run into serious bugs with all of these tools that I'm mentioning. There's a lot of them actually, which to the point that it precluded or blocked us from doing whatever it is that we needed to do. So the first reaction is generally, you know what, maybe we're doing something wrong, right? Sure, it's got to work. They've been in production for a while. How could it not work? But as it turns out, not so unsurprisingly so, if you will, it was not the case, right? They were genuine bugs, and in many of the cases, those teams have worked quite diligently, and thanks to everybody who's done that, to getting our issues addressed. But still, there comes a point where the turnaround time is not quick enough. We are not at the top of the list in their priorities, or the company is just too big for them to be agile enough to react to your issues, right? There's a lot of reasons. That's not important. What's important is you cannot be blocked because of any of those reasons, right? It doesn't make a difference to your customers that you're using something else that's causing issues, and that's why you are not able to deliver on whatever you had in the plans and your roadmap. So you're going to have to find workarounds all the time, right? So the type of workaround you find, where you make those changes, like whether it's monkey patches or whatever it is that you're trying to do, in the meantime, while those teams release the upgraded versions of the software that address the issues that you're dealing with, you're going to have to find a way to work around them, and it depends on what the types of issues you're running into. Like I said earlier, I'm just trying to think of a very concrete example because we run into this when we're integrating with UI tools, with the backend server-side tools, all kinds of tools, right? So there's no common design pattern, so to speak, in how you want to address those issues. But let me take an example. And some of them are not even code issues that you address or work around, but actually process and methodologies, right? So one example, maybe not a bad one, is we're trying to get our 355 or close to 400 endpoints out there on README as well. We have it out there, but it took some effort to get there. So README supports a notion of categories. So when you upload the endpoints, you upload the OpenAPI spec, you can add categories to nicely separate your endpoints within your API. Those categories, when you add them, their UI adds them at the very bottom of the list. So it's all right if you have like 20, 25, even 30 endpoints, right? It's not too difficult to track them. But for the size of our API, which is pretty large, dragging it, I probably should do a video, but I'm just outside. So when you add the category, it adds it at the very bottom of the list. So it's just a UI issue, a usability issue at README. It turns into a functional issue borderline. So I had to drag the category all the way to the top. But except that, the scroll doesn't work very well in terms of drag. So it wouldn't drag beyond the height of the page. What I had to do to work around that was basically minimize, increase the resolution or Apple minus, make the page fonts really small. So I can see a lot of the page, but I cannot see anything because it's become really, really tiny, right? That's how we could cover a good list of our endpoints. So I had to drag the category on top of those endpoints. If I show this to you, I will do a video. It's probably going to become really obvious. Doing a rather poor job in I couldn't wait. I could file a bug for README, and they like have acknowledged the issue, or I have to prove that there is an issue, and maybe it's already in their list. Maybe it's not the highest priority, whatever, right? So it will not get fixed or not get fixed in time for us to actually realize the outcome of their labor. So the workaround I was mentioning here was just making it really small, dragging it. What should have taken like 15 minutes took like 3 hours, right? But again, it is what it is. That's one example. I can give other examples on Blobber. As we've been uploading new versions of our spec, we've run into issues with the newer version, even though the endpoints actually haven't changed all that much, if any at all, because we are just this is a very first release. It's still we ran into bugs with their upload version of the API, OpenAPI YAML spec, where it actually did not merge those endpoints correctly. So it ended up duplicating the endpoints. So the spec where we had like close to 400, it showed like 800 endpoints, right? And even the endpoints, even though the problem number one was it showed 800 endpoints, the next problem was even the endpoints that were there failed to work, maybe because there was a duplication of endpoints. So for that, we had to take a slightly different approach to work around that problem. We filed a ticket with Blobber, and they're a pretty good team out there. So I hope and expect that to be fixed soon enough. But again, right, our customers do not care whether they're using us on Blobber, on AWS Marketplace, OpenAPI Hub, Kong, which is to come very soon, or Rapid, or whatever it is, right? We owe something to our customers, and we're going to do whatever it takes to please them. Which is which was the purpose of this video essentially, right? So many times you are going to run into this issue. Give the other party the benefit of the doubt for a little bit, believing that it's likely that you're doing something wrong. Maybe the bug is on your side. But after that amount of time, whatever the time is for the type of problem you're solving, if you still think things are not working, just see if there's open PRs out there, right? There could be I've seen open PRs from like 3 years ago. So you have two options, maybe more than two. One is you contribute to open source. If you're using an open source solution, contribute to it, fix it, create a pull request. That doesn't mean it's going to get much immediately, but you have to give back to the community, so you should do that. Second option is you find the workarounds, or you fork the branch and make the fixes, like we've done it in some cases, right? We would fork on GitHub, make the fixes, and then use that branch in the interim till the new release shows up. And if they've addressed the issue in the new release, then we just switch out to that one, which is what we eventually have to do for each of these dependencies, right? We run into that a lot more with Flutter, right? I love Flutter, but it's challenging. Every time I have to do a Flutter upgrade, I keep my fingers crossed, because hell could break loose, and then you have to figure out how to solve that problem yourself, obviously. Yeah. So anyway, so that is the gist of the video. That you are going to run into issues. If you don't, great, you're lucky, you're the lucky one. But if not, join the rest of us. This is the majority, the club essentially, right? And find ways around it. So sometimes if you hear somebody saying, hey, you know what, there's a problem, we gotta wait, that doesn't make any sense, right? You need to make sure your team can roll up their sleeves and then figure out solutions to these problems. That's very important. It doesn't matter how big or small you are. I think that mentality and mindset is very critical and crucial for continued success. And hope this resonates, some part of the video resonates with you. And I would usually say go to snowpal.com, which I'm going to still say, because our product, you should sign up and get yourself organized. But given that our newest release is our API, I'm going to add one more to that list of links. Go to developers.snowpal.com. Start building your app, web app, mobile app, gateways, server sites, components, microservices, whatever it is that you desire to build and you need to build to solve your customers' business problems. Use our API as a boilerplate, so you save a ton of time and you can just focus on the core problem that you have to work on. That's about it. I'm just going to continue enjoying the rest of this absolutely brilliant February, actually March day. Happy March. Thanks.